Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about how to make conversation with anyone. You may have heard me say before that I am an introvert, but I can bring it at a party. And what I mean by that is not that I'm going to be the one swinging from the chandeliers, but that although I'm an introvert, I can make conversation with anybody and I can fit in a social situation, and that although it takes a lot out of me, I can do it in the moment. I'm not kind of socially awkward really, or not usually anyway. We all have our moments. So with this video, I'm hoping to help you feel a little bit more comfortable making conversation with people that you don't know, people that you've just met, people that you may or may not feel that you have anything in common with. How do you get the conversation started and keep it flowing so that there aren't any of those awkward silences? Because once those awkward silences start to happen, things can kind of spiral and just get worse. So my first tip, if you know that you're going to be going to an event or a party or something where you're going to have to make conversation with people that you don't know, is to have some preparation and planning in advance of what you might talk about. Are there any current events going on that are non-contentious? Don't bring up politics or anything like that. But is there something going on that you could talk about that is common ground, that most people will likely have an opinion on, to kind of kick off the conversation? It also helps to kind of just have a quick look through current events so that you're prepared in case somebody else asks you, oh, what do you think about such and such? Or have you noticed that this and this is happening? You don't want to be like, no, like oblivious to what's going on around you. I don't watch the news and I don't tend to check news sites or anything. Most of the news is sensationalist stuff that I don't really need to know about, things that don't affect me, and it just upsets me. So I can get in a little bit of a bubble. Most big events you're going to find out about through social media, but there are other things in the news that if I'm going to be going to an event and talking to people I don't know, I will have a quick look through current news headlines just to see what's going on in case there's something that's going to be brought up in conversation by them. As part of my pre-planning, I remind myself of 3 helpful questions that are one size fits all. They apply to everybody and they generally can get a conversation going. And if you have these in your arsenal, you should be good to go. Obviously, timing kind of plays a part in this, and you kind of need to be sensitive to that. You can't just dive in with one of these questions straight away the minute you meet somebody. You know, kind of maybe ease into it. But here are the 3 questions. Once you've been introduced to this new person, the person sitting next to you at a dinner party, for instance, you can ask them, what's keeping you busy lately? Now, this is an open-ended question that doesn't have a yes-no answer, which we'll get to in a minute, but it's a one-size-fits-all because the person that you're asking it of can decide which way the question needs to go. They can start talking about work, they can start talking about their hobbies, they can start talking about planning for a holiday, whatever has been keeping them busy lately. People love to talk about themselves, and if you ask them what's been keeping you busy lately, you're not asking how's work going or what do you like to do for fun or something that they may not want to talk about. It's open-ended enough that they can choose which direction to take the conversation. The second question is, what are you looking forward to? So they may say, oh, Christmas is in only 3 months time, or they may talk about a holiday that's coming up, or their wife might be expecting a baby soon. Again, they can take the conversation in any direction. If they're like, oh, nothing really, then that opens another conversation about how it's helpful to have things to look forward to, especially if it's winter, you know, it's really dark and gloomy. It helps to have whatever to look forward to in the spring. It's just a way of opening up a conversation. If they say, oh, they've got nothing that they're looking forward to, then you can say, oh, might you plan something? Or when last did you go on holiday? You know, it's just a way of opening up the conversation and then seeing where it goes from there. And then my favorite question is, been anywhere fun lately? Because again, they can say, oh yeah, I took this work trip abroad to whatever country. Or they can say, yeah, we went to this place on holiday. Or they can say, oh, we discovered this new restaurant. Or they can say, no, I haven't been anywhere fun lately. And you'll say, oh, why is that? And then they can talk about what's been keeping them busy and keeping them from going out and doing fun things. So that's a really useful question that's also very open-ended, allows the person you're speaking to take the conversation in whichever direction they want to, and it's one size fits all. Now, when you're asking questions, you always want to try and ask open-ended questions. If you ask somebody, are you enjoying this conference? They can say yes, and that's the end of that. Or they can say no, and that's the end of that. And you can respond with, oh, why is that? But then it feels like you're interrogating them. So try not to ask questions that just have a yes, no answer, which can shut down the conversation. And then because it's your turn to speak again, you feel like you're the one interrogating. Open-ended questions are questions like, how are you finding this conference? Instead of a yes, no answer, you're going to get answers like, oh, it's much better than last year, or this is my first time coming, I wasn't sure what to expect, but I'm learning a lot, or wow, there's a lot of people here, I didn't expect it to be so crowded. Whatever, it's just a different kind of answer than yes and no, and it gives you more clues to build on to ask your next question. So if they say, I didn't expect there to be this many people here, you can say, oh, have you been before? Has it not usually been this busy? It just keeps the conversation flowing. When you're listening to their answers to whatever question you begin with, really listen to their answers. I know that you can feel nervous and you can feel anxious about having an awkward silence appear, and you can be kind of formulating your next reply to them or your next question. But if you're really listening to their answers, first of all, it's more interesting for you and more enjoyable. You're going to get more out of the conversation, but also they're going to drop clues along the way to what they actually want to talk about. And you can pick up those clues and carry on with the conversation, rather than you've asked a question, they've answered it, and you're like, okay, I need to ask another question or say something. Really listen to their reply. There's going to be something that you have in common, maybe there's nothing that you have in common, but it almost becomes like a bit of a game to pick up their clues and to lead the conversation in a direction that's going to interest them and keep things flowing. Obviously, keeping a conversation flowing is not all on your shoulders. They should be making an effort too. If people are even slightly socially adept, they will be making an effort, but it just helps to have a few tools in your arsenal so that you don't feel nervous or pressure going into these situations. You feel like, yep, I have a few things to try, I know what to do if things get sticky. The last thing I want to mention is body language and making eye contact and really showing that person that you're interested. So if you're at a dinner party and the person's next to you, you could just be eating your food and asking the questions, but if you kind of turn to them and really look at them and nod and give them eye contact as they're talking, they're going to feel important, they're going to feel like they've enjoyed that conversation with you, and it's just going to go a lot better. I have no problem making eye contact when I'm listening to people, but when I'm talking to people, I can't talk to them and look into their eyes. It's the weirdest thing. It's like my brain shuts down. I can't think of what I'm talking about, and I tend to need to look away while I'm speaking to them. But I make an effort to kind of look back at them as I'm speaking and to really try and maintain eye contact while they're speaking. Not like creepy eye contact, like staring them dead in the eyes, but like, you know, acknowledging what they're saying, giving them some encouraging facial expressions, stuff like that. You can always practice these things. Practice it with a friend, practice it just by yourself, kind of have imaginary responses, what another person might say, and just get comfortable with the idea before you go into these social situations. If you're uncomfortable about social situations, if there's something that makes you nervous, if it's a problem for you, then ignoring the problem is not going to make it go away. It's going to happen. You're going to be in positions where strangers make conversation with you, and it's just better to be prepared and ready for it to happen so that it's not so stressful. I hope you found these tips helpful. Let me know if you have any other tips to add. Leave them in the comments down below to help anybody else watching this video to get some more advice that I haven't mentioned. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.